And just like that, the college football season is officially over, and we have to wait 7 months for the next college football season to start. It's a sad day for the sport, but on the other hand, for Michigan fans, it might be the happiest day of your lives. Because yesterday was the national championship game between the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies. And it was the game that Michigan basically controlled from the start, and their defense was very dominant all year. And this Michigan team is the real deal. Let's just leave it at that. But today we are giving my thoughts and reactions on the national championship game between Michigan and Washington. But before I get into this video, let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. And turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel, because we post daily college football content, and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's get into the video. And let's start by saying congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on the national championship win. And not too many teams can come back from what Michigan had to go through as a team. The consecutive playoff losses to Georgia and TCU, the cheating scandals, all the people doubting them. There was a lot on their shoulders, but they completely blocked out all the noise, and J.J. McCarthy made a promise to the fan base that they would be back here. And let me tell you that it takes guts from a player to promise everyone that you'll be back after a huge loss, and then stick through with that promise all the way to next year, where you guys actually make the playoffs for the third year in a row. But JJ McCarthy is just that special type of player. But this team did more than just make the playoffs this time around, and they won their first national championship since 1997. But let's also not discredit this Washington team. Some people may say Washington did not belong in the national championship, but I mean, come on now. They were one of the two only undefeated teams in the country left, and they had an incredible season. And maybe Alabama and Michigan, you could say, was the real national championship game, or should I say the more competitive game, because ultimately Washington did make the national championship. And at the end of the day, Washington went undefeated and won their semifinals game against Texas, and did not lose a game all year up to this game. And Alabama lost a game to Texas at the start of the season and lost in the semifinals. And they really had to sneak their way into the playoffs, and they had a lot of controversy. This Washington team deserved to be in the national championship, and they earned their spot in the national championship after being doubted all year. And they really fought in this game, and do not let that score fool you, because it was a lot closer for part of the game, but Michigan really took it away near the end of the fourth quarter. And at the end of the day, you can't say Washington didn't belong here. It's more like Michigan was just the best team in the country, and they had a very legit defense, and defense wins championships. And I actually picked Washington to win this game. Washington's defense did exactly what I thought they would do. They stepped up when they needed to. Despite giving up 300 rushing yards and 200 in the first half, they played a tough defensive game, definitely in the second half. Washington's offensive performance lost them that game, and Michigan's defense is a different type of dominant. And Washington's defense did okay. Washington's defense has not been great, but they've been solid. But I was a bit surprised with how much Michigan contained the passing attack of Washington. And you could honestly say that Michigan did more than just contain the passing attack. You could say that they dominated. But I figured the running game wouldn't really be there for Washington. They haven't really had the best rushing attack this year, and Dillon Johnson was playing through injury. And they were playing against that Michigan front seven that has been one of the best. But I really expected Michael Penix Jr. to be on the money, but he missed multiple wide open receivers in this game. And that Michigan defense was just way too much for him. Originally, I was going to go with Michigan to win this game, because defense wins championships. But I thought this Washington offense was a lot different. And I thought all around Washington was going to get the job done. But I couldn't be any more wrong. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be right about some games and I'm going to be wrong. But I definitely should have went with the defensive team in this game. Michigan's defense may not have sacked Penix that many times, but Michael Penix Jr. felt the pressure all night. And I had some questions about this Michigan secondary, because they struggled a bit against Maryland and Ohio State, but this Michigan secondary was playing the best when it mattered the most. And they forced Michael Penix Jr. to throw not one, but 2 interceptions in this game. And they held that Washington passing attack to only 255 yards, which is pretty good for playing a team that had the best passing attack all year. And I said that if anyone wanted to beat this Washington team, they would have to beat them by double digits, because Washington does not lose close games, and they always find ways to win games in many different ways. But this Michigan team completely controlled the fourth quarter and took it over and won the game 34-13. This was just a bad matchup for Washington, and Michigan was just all around the more physical team. And Michigan ran the ball and controlled the game, running for 300 yards, and they really contained that passing attack of Washington. And there was only one undefeated team left, with the Michigan Wolverines finishing 15-0. And maybe if Washington did not get down so far to start the game, they could have had a chance to win. But in the first quarter, they gave up 2 big rushing touchdowns to the backup running back of Michigan, Donovan Edwards. This game was looking out of hand from the start, but Washington really put themselves back in this game, and I will give credit for the fight they put up. But they really put themselves in too big of a hole to complete the comeback. Washington's defense was a lot more physical in the second and third quarter, and they did really battle up front on the defensive side for part of the game. But that's why this is a 4-quarter game, and Michigan was just all around the better 4-quarter team. And they were just obviously the more physical team and the better team in the trenches. And running back Blake Corum played a spectacular game and ran for 134 and 2 touchdowns in his final game as a Michigan Wolverine. And we also seen J.J. McCarthy in his final game as a Michigan Wolverine. And he didn't have a spectacular game, but he did what he had to do to win this game. And he had a crucial third down conversion where he was backed up at his end zone and ran for a first down. And he played pretty solid in this game. And J.J. McCarthy made the right plays necessary to win the game. And he didn't do anything crazy. But that's what makes J.J. McCarthy a special player. He doesn't have to take shots down the field, but he can still make incredible plays. And he's a team player, and he always makes the right plays. And that's really going to pay off at the next level. But he's also a great leader. Both J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum are going to be gone next year. But what about head coach Jim Harbaugh? He won his first national championship and helped this Michigan team to their first natty in 26 years. But there's been questions about him going back to the NFL. That's going to be interesting to see if he stays at Michigan and tries to keep them on top, or if he has a plan to go to the NFL. I don't know if we are going to see this Michigan team on top for a while. They are losing a lot. We have Jim Harbaugh possibly going to the NFL. We also have the cheating scandals. There's a lot of negatives going forward for this team, with everybody leaving, but we cannot look ahead yet, because we have to give this team credit on their national championship victory, and that's the biggest positive you could ask for right now. But this might have been Michigan's last national championship in a while, but it will be interesting to see what happens with the 12-team playoff starting and conference realignment changing the landscape of college football forever. Washington is also a team that is losing a lot of super seniors on both sides of the ball, and I don't know if they'll make it back to a national championship game, but Kalen DeBoer is a very underappreciated head coach, and he's a very good head coach, and I do believe he will keep them at least as a legitimate 12-team playoff contender. But Washington and Michigan are both losing tons of players, and they're both doing pretty average in the transfer portal and recruiting, which will not cut it for the future, but I still think they will be legit 12-team playoff contenders. And I don't know the last time we got a matchup between two teams who were complete opposites in the national championship game. I was very hyped for this game between Michigan and Washington, and it may not have been the outcome that I expected, and Washington's offense really underperformed, but it was still a pretty competitive game for majority of the game, and it was a fun one. And it was a 3-touchdown game, but at least it wasn't a complete blowout. And Washington gave it their all in this game, but Michigan was just the better team. But we've seen arguably the best offense and the best defense playing each other in the biggest game of the season. But at the end of the day, defense wins championships, and Michigan showed why that's the case. And to people who may question this Michigan team because of the cheating scandals, let's take a second to remember that these players played with their hearts every day on the field. They were not doing the investigating. They were just plain and simple the best team in college football, and they were a team of tough guys who basically bullied everyone they played. And nothing was getting in their way of winning it all this year. I may have been underestimating this Michigan team a lot this year, and I didn't know if they were going to be a legitimate contender for the national championship from the start. I really questioned the competition they played, and I felt like there was something missing from this team, but they really proved me wrong. And this defense was probably one of the most dominant championship teams of all time. They held every single opponent to under 25 points this year and won a national championship holding the best offense in the country to 13 points. And this Washington team got bullied and outplayed from start to finish. Washington put up a fight, and they earned their spot in this national championship game, and we cannot take away the season Washington had, proving people wrong all year, winning as underdogs multiple times, and winning many one-possession games. Everyone has doubted this Washington team at least one point in this season, and really these were two teams who were doubted all year, but they overcame all odds and made it to the national championship game, something both programs hadn't done since the 1990s. Michael Penix Jr. for Washington was incredible this season. He had 4 season-ending injuries at Indiana, but he really turned his career around at Washington, and even after getting beat up all night by Michigan's pass rush, he played through all the pain in the fourth quarter, and he did not quit on his team. This wasn't about Michael Penix Jr. letting people down and playing a bad game. This was just more about how dominant Michigan's defense was. And Washington at the end of the day was just too one-dimensional, and that's not going to work against a top caliber defense like Michigan. but Michael Penix Jr. is a heck of a player, and he gave it his all in this game. And despite the loss, this was an incredible journey for Michael Penix Jr. and this Washington team as a whole. And it will be interesting to see what Penix can do in the NFL. And I'm not really an NFL fan, I don't really watch the NFL that much, but it will be interesting to see the quarterbacks from this season playing at the next level. College football is still the best sport in the world, but who knows, maybe I'll tune into the NFL next year to see quarterbacks like Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. I mean, the list is long. I mean, of course, Caleb Williams and Drake May too. There's a lot. And we will see some talented quarterbacks next season, and it should be interesting to see what they can do at the next level. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the national championship game between Michigan and Washington. Leave your thoughts down below on the game. But that's going to do it for the video. Be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel because we post daily college football videos. And we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. But that's going to do it, guys, and peace out.